Greg Cote, can you please tell me this Dolphin game coming up on Sunday is the biggest Dolphin game since blank?
I would need to quantify that. Probably since 2001, since 2001, off the top of my head. Now, they've been in the playoffs a couple of times
Last year, right?
Well, a playoff game
Right.
is bigger than a regular season game to me.
I don't feel like – I feel like the playoffs start right now. This week, the playoffs start for the Miami Dolphins.
Can a game be that big if you lose the game, you still make the playoffs?
They don't have much of a chance if they have to start going on the road with this injured team. They need to get something easy on the front end. It's going to be hard enough to win in Baltimore.
Yeah, but in the playoffs, there's nothing easy. I know that's the ultimate cliche, but even if they have a home playoff game against a seventh, sixth seeded team, that's not going to be easy. They're going to be a nominal favorite. The injuries are what concern me. If they're a full-strength team right now, they are clearly better to me than Buffalo, but they're not a full-strength team. They're going to play without at least.
What, clearly better than Buffalo?
Yeah.
Why? How?
I mean, Buffalo's not full strength either.
They played Buffalo and lost by 4 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty early in the season.
But they lost by 4 touchdowns.
Right, I understand that.
Different team now.
Miami's defense is much better now, although you wouldn't know it from 56 to 19. That's the crazy thing about this season is that. Listen,
all right, Jessica's laughing at you. She's laughing at everything that's happening.
The defense
with
has
you.
steadily gotten better all season.
Okay,
He's
agreed.
right about that.
Yes, agreed.
All right, let me finish my sentence. 2 weeks ago, after they beat Dallas, it's like happy days are here again. The Dolphins finally beat a team with a winning record. They reaffirm that they're a championship contender. A week later, they get their ass kicked by Baltimore, and the sky is falling. There's got to be some moderation in opinion here, and the moderation is that even with all the injuries, they have a great chance to beat Buffalo and win the AFC East on Sunday.
The hyperventilation and extremes are yours, not anybody else's. They beat Dallas barely, and nobody thought that was some giant thing.
Yeah, guess what? Barely counts in sports.
No, you're wrong, Dan. At the time, Dallas was the best team in the NFL. They came into Dolphin Stadium, the Hard Rock Stadium, the Rock, and they lost 22-20. I mean,
Don't poo-poo that win, Dan.
Stop.
Why are you poo-pooing that win?
Yep.
Because
It's a big win.
Dallas is good at home. Dallas is not at any point this season been considered the best team in the league. Not at any point.
It's not true.
I love this so much because we didn't have a show after that Dallas game, so we can't go back and listen to how excited everyone would have been. And now we have a show after the abysmal, oh my God, just devastating performance against the Ravens. And you can't. It's incredible. It's incredible the swing of 2 weeks of not having a show.
David, can you tell me what it means that the NFL has fined Carolina owner David Tepper $300,000 for throwing a cup? He has apologized and says he will accept any and all penalties. Why are you smiling?
Because he didn't really apologize. I just did on nothing personal. I went through the statement that he gave, and that statement was with him holding his nose and basically saying, whatever, you fine me $300,000, I don't care, because I'm deeply passionate about my team. David Tepper's a problem. Not a Daniel Snyder type problem, but I would say that he's a problem because he doesn't like paying anybody anything. There's people in Charlotte who just hate him. Not like the way you guys hated me and Loria. They hate him because he didn't pay his bills like to the subcontractors when they were building the practice facility. He does not fulfill from a business standpoint, forget from a football standpoint where he's been a total failure. So I think what the NFL is waiting for is for Tepper to do something really, really bad where they can get him out. And I think that this is not that, except it's the beginning of that. So I think Roger Goodell's in a position where it's a wait to see, what will he do next and how can we move on from it?
Hold on a second, David. That's awfully fast that you got there. The Davis family has been running the Raiders incorrectly for a hell of a long time. What are you talking about? I haven't heard anybody say that NFL owners are now going to conspire because one of them is embarrassing them. A lot of times owners don't like another owner, and it doesn't escalate to that until Donald Sterling after decades.
Well, hold on. What Donald Sterling did is slightly different.
No, but
I'm
saying that they hated Donald Sterling for a long time and then found their reason at the end, finally had a reason, wanted to do it but couldn't do it. You're talking about this with Tepper, and I haven't heard any of that from anywhere. The idea that the other owners would run somebody off this quickly.
But if their favorite owner had done what Sterling did, they would have gotten rid of their favorite owner. That's how bad it is what Sterling did. So that's why it's a bad comparison. My issue with Tepper, and the reason why the NFL is so upset about what's going on with Tepper, is that he continues to be a concern and a problem both on the business side and now on the fan side. And Roger Goodell takes very seriously fan treatment, and he was very, very unhappy with what happened here. And it's just another one of the things that Tepper's done. So when you say conspiring, that always triggers people. It's not a conspiracy to make David Tepper into something he's not. He is exactly who he is, and they're just waiting for him to do something that will rise to the level where they can continue to head toward getting him out.
My point, Samson, is look how long it took them to get rid of Snyder. And it's not because they didn't want to get rid of Snyder the entire time. What you're talking about, when rich people fight, it's really hard to get rid of anybody once they have one of these teams and this kind of power, whether the commissioner wants it or whether the other owners want it.
Well, no, if the other owners want it, then you get it. Remember, it's not the commissioner who has the power, it's the owners. And the thing with Daniel Snyder is there were never enough votes. He had just enough friends where he could hang on. And when he lost his last friend, that's when really the shit hit the fan and he was gone. So it's really sometimes a popularity contest. There were times that Jeffrey Loria was going to be run out of the game with contraction with the Expos and when there were issues with the Marlins, because it's always about counting votes. And with Tepper, that's what they're doing.
David, have you ever been tempted to toss a drink on a fan?
No. I'll tell you why. Because there's no upside to it. That's the thing. That's what I don't get about getting involved with fans.
It must. It must.
In the moment. Yeah.
For that second,
right.
I mean, it gets done too much to not feel good to some drink throwers.
The only time that I think it's okay to throw a drink on someone is when you have a previous relationship with that person and it's part of what you do, is maybe part of the games you play, or it's some sort of fetish you may have.
It's a weird
But to
game.
do it as an aggressive thing, to me, is always bad.
Have you ever been tempted to slap a Miami Herald sports writer?
No, Greg, but it's funny you say what you said about the Dolphins, and I want to ask you about this since I have you and I never get you on Wednesdays. You just mentioned that it's the most important Dolphins game since 2001 in your mind.
Yeah, I haven't.
Do you still agree with that?
Well, I haven't researched that.
Does he still agree with his own opinion?
5 minutes later.
That he wasn't prepared to give at the time that I asked him the question because he had tuned the show out and was expecting you to answer all the questions this segment?
Okay, go ahead and play me for an easy laugh, but I preceded what I said by saying I haven't researched that, but off the top of my head, 2001 is the last time they won a playoff game. And I expect this Dolphins team to at least reach the AFC Championship game. And if they don't, it's going to be because they lost Sunday. So in that context, I think this is the most important Dolphins game in a long, long time. But, going back, I would need to research that. I don't talk off the top of my head.
You wrote Fins at 50. You wrote the entire history of the franchise.
But what he is saying is he likes to do research before he answers a question like that. He doesn't do it off the top of his head.
He prides himself on being the greatest Dolphin historian that there is in this market.
Okay, 4 or 5 days ago, I sent in my Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. I didn't fill that out off the top of my head. I spent hours and hours
asking Michael and Christopher. I'm kidding.
Oh, he's mad now.
No.
He's mad
No,
now.
he's not
going to
kidding.
lose his vote.
Okay, he's not kidding. All right, here's what happens. I want to explain
Hear him
that,
out.
Now
because
he's mad.
this is another example of Christopher disrespecting me just for a laugh. Christopher and Michael are both big baseball fans. As a courtesy, because I think they would enjoy the exercise, I give them a facsimile of my ballot every year, ask them to fill it out just to get their opinion. Now, does it influence my vote? No. But if I'm not voting for a borderline guy and my 2 baseball fan sons both vote for him, perhaps I would reconsider. That's not violating BBWAA rules. I do that as a courtesy. And whether you want to make fun of that or not, I don't care. The point is, I spent a lot of time researching my ballot, and I would spend a lot of time researching. This is the biggest
Shame.
I'm sorry.
Shame. You should be.
Shame.
I like this Greg. He's not
Yeah,
taking from
not
any
from
of you.
anybody. No,
Not
here's
from
the year.
any
New
of
Greg.
you.
New year, new Greg.
Here's the thing. You look. You asked me off the top of my head. This is the biggest Dolphins game since when? Okay, that is something. If I'm going to write that, I'm going to research that. I'm going to go over the past 20 years of Dolphins history. I'm going to research all their playoff games. I'm going to research the game that they lost that would have put them in the playoff.
That'll take 2 minutes.
No, it'll actually take about an hour. Actually,
For all the Dolphin playoff games?
no, and for all the games they lost to not make the playoffs, and there have been a couple of those.
And it's not just seeing the games.
Right.
He then has to see what happened in the games. He has to weigh them against each other. It's not just box score reading.
Greg, can you look into it and get back to us at 10:15, 1 hour from now?
If you give me a chance to research
Yes.
only that.
Yeah. Yes.
No, I don't. No, I'm not.
Well,
gonna do that.
here's the thing that makes me side with Greg. He's usually so careful about everything said here by him.
Correct.
Oh, no, that's not true in any way at all.
It is a fair point about the Dolphins having to win this game if they want to make it to the AFC Championship game. They're not getting there if they don't win this game.
Right.
But, David, what was the other question you wanted to ask Cody?
That if they haven't had a game this important since 2001, I still am trying to figure out, and this is just insecurities being brought to the forefront here, how is Stephen Ross considered a successful owner of the Dolphins when you're going back 22 years to an important game?
Well, it's arguable that he is considered a successful owner. If he is, it's largely because of facility upgrades. Look what he's done to that. Look what he's done to that stadium.
You're laughing in his face, David.
What about
it doesn't
willingness to
matter.
spend money? What about like Ndamukong Suh and going after the big
Well, but
guys
it's a
multiple
salary
times?
cap.
It just
sport,
looked like
they
he
all-
was shot in the chest when that just happened.
What are we doing here, guys? It's the most exciting Dolphin team we've had down here in decades. And Stephen Ross is the owner.
And
So-
first of all, David, don't imply that I think Stephen Ross has been a successful owner. He hasn't been. He's the one who's tampering just cost them a first-round draft pick a year ago. He's been an unsuccessful owner for sure, based on the one-loss record.
Wildly unsuccessful, not
Right.
just in the history of this market, in the history of that sport.
Historically unsuccessful.
I agree. Now, the past couple of years, he's been better. He's spent more. He's hired
What
pretty
does
well.
spent more mean in that sport? They're all salary capped. Like, what does spent more mean in that
How
sport?
did this exciting game turn into who was a better owner, Jeffrey or Stephen Ross?
Crazy. Yeah.
You know how.
Hey, Billy, the reason, I can tell you the reason, is that I never understood how he got a pass the way he did when he was such a failure. And just because he spent money to a salary cap, that doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it better. It doesn't make him good. But I always felt, Greg, you asked, I ever feel like slapping a Miami Herald reporter? Of course not. But I always would want to yell from the mountaintop, what is this affinity toward the Dolphins, and why can't the Marlins be a part of that?
He was asking you, Greg, as a Miami Herald columnist and as a local sports critic, how is it possible that you guys were gentle on this owner? Because that's a result-based business, and in terms of laughing stocks and combination of results, his owner won a World Series.
Right.
This owner can't win a single playoff game.
Correct. I have not been kind to Stephen Ross, and I can show you columns I've written that have been very harsh on him. Now, and also, as David would tell you, I am one of the few people in the media who was perceived as actually supporting your owner because I was all for them getting that new stadium built. And I will say to my dying day that if that was a bad financial deal for the city, that's not the owner's fault. That's the city's fault. That's the Politico's fault for not negotiating a better deal for themselves. He's a businessman. He should. That's what his job is to get the best deal he can. The politician's job is to protect the citizens as best they can. Somebody did their job in that stadium deal. Somebody didn't, and the city didn't.
But you mentioned facility upgrades on behalf of Stephen Ross as something that's a positive
That
for
is a
him.
positive.
Well, I would only point out that what he's done with the facility upgrades, it gets funded in large part from G4, which is the NFL stadium loans, but also it's so he could get other events to get more public money and other events that count toward his revenue that don't in any way get shared with the rest of the football league, National Football League. So what he's done by hosting things other than the Cirque du Soleil in the parking lot has really been a way to extract public dollars while saying that he privately spent to upgrade the stadium, which is just not true.
And you know what that makes him? A smart businessman. And here's what the fan thinks.
Oh, enough of this.
Here's what the fan thinks. The fan thinks, you know what? He brought Formula One here. You know what? He saved tennis when it moved from Key Biscayne. That's what the fan thinks. He's done very well with the facility upgrades there. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, but you say this, and Sampson was a good businessman too, and it didn't help him become popular. Or we weren't
Stephen
talking.
Ross is not popular.
Well, we weren't talking about facility upgrades with Sampson.
Correct.
I mean, also, though, for the longest time, the Dolphins were the only team in town for 30, 40 years, whatever it was. And they also had the only perfect season. They had 2 Super Bowls. They had the winningest coach of all time. Like, they had this
50 years ago.
Okay, but that's all that there was in this town. And then when you have all the writers who grew up with only that in that town, they're going to have, I don't want to say a bias, but they're going to have a soft spot for them. That's why the Dolphins are beloved, because they were the only thing for the longest time.
Do you not think the Heat are the number 1 team in Miami now?
Yes, but they took it from the Dolphins, and it's one of the most stunning things in my history in this market to see it happen.
They borrowed it from the Dolphins.
They borrowed it. Fair enough. They borrowed it from the Dolphins when the Heat were winning all the time and the Dolphins weren't winning at all. But if they're both winning at the same time, it's still a football town.
The Dolphins could get it back. I mean, that's why this game is so big, to Greg's point.
Right.
Yep.
The Cesta Cyclones had a chance this past month.
Just Cyclones
true,
now.
yeah.
Just Cyclones.
What are we doing here with like stadium upgrades and stuff? Like,
It's weird. Look, here's what we should be talking about. If the Vikings win and the Packers lose and the Seahawks lose and the Bucks lose, the Vikings are in. If the Vikings win, the Packers lose, the Seahawks lose, and the Saints lose, Vikings are in.
Wow.
that's what I'm
Well
talking
said.
about.
What I can't wait to see is when Christmas. Wait, Greg, can you research what day is Christmas Day next year?
Wednesday.
Oh, that's perfect.
Wow.
They will play a game on Wednesday. The NFL
Yes!
will play Wednesday. I guarantee it.
Do you know that, or are you guessing?
I am guessing.
I think they
with an
said they would.
authority
They
that
guaranteed
implies
it.
I
They
know
said
it.
they would not, but the success
I don't
of
believe
it.
them.
They will.
They had a Wednesday game during COVID. I mean, they would do it again. Yeah, it's out of necessity for them to make a ton of money, Billy, every year. They
like
would
ag.
argue.
Just for the record, this journalist who cares very much about everything that he says just guaranteed something where he was obviously guessing.
Right.
Just so that
Right.
we're
That's
on
correct.
the record there.
Yeah, and what is the downside of that?
No, just you know,
Okay,
you're so
thank you.
meticulous. You're
Thank
so
you.
you're so meticulous about everything you say that you would think that you would know what.
I'm not above guessing, but when I'm asked a serious question about when this is the most most important Dolphins game,
It's not a
since
serious
when,
question.
You take
it
your
is
time.
a serious
Yeah,
question.
right.
I'm going to research
Serious
that.
question.
I'm going to answer off the top of my head.
David, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir. Yes, that is the serious question.
Serious question.
We've got Reese Davis coming up next, and Greg Cote says that we should all be Husky fans, that Americans should unite together to just be against Jim Harbaugh.
Correct. Yes, I don't have to research that
Right.
opinion.
Okay.
Right. That's exactly right. Look, I love so much about sports, and one of the things I love is that when you have a clear villain to root against, okay? 95% of the country doesn't give a crap about Washington or Michigan. They don't root for either team. But in this case, you can get super excited about this game because you have Washington.
Gamble on by DraftKings.
We also have to get to your just general delight in what the Ravens did to the Dolphins, because what I have not talked to Greg Cote or his son about. We've got here an entire family that has suffered this Dolphin team and all of its incarnations. Is you go into that hopeful game and Baltimore beats you to death with one-handed catches. Like all across that league, you see people dropping the ball all over the place, and every big play in that game on offense or
Sticks to
defense.
Likely's hand.
Baltimore didn't even need both hands to beat the Dolphins. They did it with one hand tied behind their back.
And suddenly the receivers are not only catching the football, but making like Odell Beckham Jr. had a huge catch in that game. It was insane. And I'll also, for the record, I hate the Ravens, but this sets up perfectly for a Smetty Bowl now, because if they rest their starters on Sunday and the Steelers win and the Dolphins win, Smetty Bowl, mark your calendars, 10 days from right now, Publix dips parking lot, Hard Rock Stadium. Thank you, Stephen
Tent
Ross.
and a folding chair.
OBJ doing that just blew my mind. Like, that even made me laugh. As a Dolphins fan, seeing OBJ make catches like that, I was like, all right, well, I guess this is what's going to happen now. That's what we do in December, sure.
Well, everybody's focused on the score, and 56-19 is outrageous at any level. But the idea that Baltimore won is zero surprise. I'm a homer, maybe. I picked Baltimore to win and cover, which is part of why I went 14-2 last week, including 12-4 against the spread. I did pick Baltimore. They're the best team. They're the best team in the NFL, and the fact that they won. Damn right I did. Damn right.
You only started talking so you could tell us what your record was.
Of course
against
he did.
The spread.
Correct. That's right.
Billy, would you please help me navigate something between the Codys, because I love their relationship. I love the tension in their relationship, the sparks in their relationship. It reminds me of what I was doing with my father on television. But my father has never been as mad at me as Greg Cote routinely gets at his son. And so
because his son's a disrespectful prick.
Well said. Yep.
The Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote.
With.
Fine.
I tell Greg Cote all the time, leaving segments, when he is pissed at his prick of a son. I tell him all the time. Just got done saying it to him a break ago. Greg, when your son does that stuff, it is a winning position for you. And Greg Cote's response in the eating area was him.
Well, you're paraphrasing. I didn't exactly say that.
What'd you say?
Him prick.
No,
He's making it more entertaining, Dad.
No. What I explained was that he has the same persona on my podcast, and 90% of the negative comments we get, and we don't get a lot, 90% of them are, Chris, lay off your dad, or let your dad talk, or quit interrupting your dad. That's what people don't like about my podcast. He continues to do it. I don't know whether that's smart or not. In this case, the thing that got me mad was the baseball ballot thing, okay? Purely as a courtesy, do I do that privately every year, where I give both of my sons a copy of the ballot and invite them to fill it out.
You mentioned all this. We got to cover the ground again.
Okay,
like,
and
you're stuck.
For those just joining,
Well, it's technically a new out.
No, but what a great dad. I mean, seriously.
you.
I wish I had a dad that had a Hall of Fame vote. He would ask me.
Right.
I mean,
and parenthetically, neither of my sons returned their ballot. Okay?
Wow.
So I'm never going to do that again. But, it's fine. Christopher.
You can't do that the way you just did it, which is never again stumble around. It's fine. Like, it's clearly
It's
not
just,
fine.
There's disappointment in his voice, Dan. Like, he clearly isn't happy with the situation that's going on here. He extends an olive branch. His son comes on the air, threatens to murder Santa Claus yesterday. Like, there's a lot going on here.
But, Greg, I will tell you this. You think the audience doesn't like it, and I'm telling you, and so is Dan, they do like it.
Okay.
They'll get mad at Christopher, but they like that
it's a
dynamic.
winning position for you.
Yeah, and what I do tell people on the air all the time, because I believe this, his lack of disrespect for me is on-air shtick.
Lack of disrespect?
Or lack of respect for me is on-air shtick. I think in real life, he does respect me. I have no doubt that in real life he loves me. So, it can be frustrating at times, but I know where his heart is.
You got to feel for Greg because, I mean, these two shared in Chris's childhood baseball as a love, something that Greg, I mean, you were going out to his baseball games as an announcer when he was in high school. I mean, truly bonding over this from a young age. And now, at this point, when the two of you have been working together for so long, you've obviously been in Chris's life his entire life, turned him into the man that he is, and now he's going to disrespect you on the air over something that you've bonded over since his childhood? I mean, it's disrespectful. It's
show
rude.
business, baby.
Terrible.
It's show business.
I'll take it one step further. Greg's not getting enough credit for being a great father to Christopher, because what's going on here is you guys are reassuring him, saying, Greg, this is great for you. This is great for you. And Greg, the egoless person that he is, says, I don't care about how this comes off for me. I care how this comes off for Christopher, and it is poorly. It comes off poorly for Christopher, the way that he treats me. And I don't want to see my son get dragged by the masses for the disrespect that he shows me. Show business or not, I know the real boy that he is, and I want him to be that boy on air. I don't want him to come out here and take all of these criticisms on my behalf. Let them criticize me, not my son. That's what Greg's saying.
Well, listen, you have to remember when the Marlins were born, when the Marlins played their very first game, Charlie Huff on the mound, Christopher was 5 going on 6.
I was there.
I thought, what a great gift the Marlins are to my son. He's going to grow up loving baseball. And then
Samson arrived.
And so an extension of that is me having the courtesy to show him my Hall of Fame ballot every year to fill out, thinking he might enjoy doing it. Apparently he doesn't because he didn't return it this year. But still, wow. So that's just a background.
But it's fine, as you said. It's fine. It's not something you're holding on to.
I'm pretending it's fine. Yeah,
not at all.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Is Chris a good boy? The thing that I wish to discuss as it relates to them, Stugotz, because this stuff is all complicated.
Wait a second, and I'm sorry to cut you off. You send him the ballot, he doesn't send it back, and I'm yearning for a dad who has a Hall of Fame vote. Can you send them to me next year?
I will.
If you really want the nuts and bolts in this, for years we have sent it back, and like he said, he doesn't listen to us. So it's like, what are we doing this for?
Well, if I began to listen to someone else's ballot, that might be a problem with the BBWAA. I want to make it clear, I fill out my own ballot, but I don't think it's against the rules to invite my baseball-loving sons to have their opinion.
I cannot tell you that anyone on earth enjoys saying BBWAA more than this old time sports writer.
Oh yeah, that's in a big font on my gravestone.
Here's what's funny about everything that's happening here. Greg Cote takes immense pride, as far as I can tell, in only 2 things in the world: his BBWAA Hall of Fame vote and being a father. The fact that he turned down the opportunity to be Stugotz on this show because he didn't want to miss his son's high school baseball game and see that sharp liner to right against Matt Latos for a 7-9 Plantation team.
The Paladins have opened a 6-pack.
That's right. It wasn't a sharp liner, by the way.
It was a sharp liner.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember it as sort of a little blooper that lands right behind the first baseman.
Knuckler.
Okay.
It's offensive.
Okay.
But Greg Cote gets legitimately mad at his son because now you're doing both of the things that upset your father. You're respecting neither his Hall of Fame vote, which is a treasure, which he got when I lost mine for selling it to Deadspin.
Nothing to do with it. I got it because I had been 10 years covering the Marlins, which earned me a
immense pride. He takes immense pride in
going
his
to opening day
Hall of Fame vote, and also in being your dad, and as he spent the last 5 years coughing at a microphone to remind us all in general about sickness and mortality.
Correct.
The sentiment of, hey, kids, want to share this common ground with us? Look at this place where I'm proud. Come be my son and enjoy pride in your father, who was 14-2 straight up this week, and 12-4 against the spread. Yeah. The pride that your father takes in these things, come share them with him. And then Chris Cote wanders over and, does what kids do to their dad when they become teenagers or older. Hey, these things that you want respected, I don't really respect them.
Roll their eyes.
Right. Nor will I pretend that I respect them.
I don't want to undercut him any more than I already have, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Well, that's good for content. That's an excellent decision to make in that seat.
But if you want to ask him something, ask him how many baseball games he's watched the last couple seasons.
Well, this is the thing. I happen to know this. Well, you will answer, but you will answer in a way that's favorable to the BBWAA because you're afraid of having your vote stripped because your kids know more about baseball than you do.
No, that's not true. Neither my fear nor the fact that they know more about baseball than I do.
You don't think your kids know more about baseball than you do?
Okay, I'm not going to take it.
Are you kidding me?
Let's do a Marlins quiz in the next segment.
I'm telling you right now.
His favorite thing to say is, that's what he says. We start asking him questions, I'm not going to take a quiz.
That's right.
You want to take the quiz? Though,
I'll
when
have
know
you
the
guys.
answers.
Not a person on earth has made it to the Hall of Fame because of a Wednesday game against the Pirates.
Thank
Not
you.
a one.
Billy knows it.
How many
He
games,
knows
Greg? Last 2 years have you watched?
it. Last 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, I don't watch baseball games from front to back unless I'm at
Same.
them.
Yeah.
Unless I'm at them. I can't watch a 9-inning game. I just can't.
Tim Kirchin says the same thing.
Sitting at home.
How many have you been to the last 5 years?
To cover, I would say I've been to, I probably average about 7 to 10 a game.
Yeah.
That's enough.
7 to 10 a year?
game.
Yeah,
Jeremy
probably.
just spit out his coffee.
Find,
oh my
find
gosh.
someone covering the
Greg,
NFL.
I was on your side.
No.
7 to 10
No.
a year.
No, false.
Maybe-
How about the
Over
7
2
to 10
years.
in this state? He's been to that new
7 to
stadium
10
7 to
innings a
10
year?
times.
No, find someone who goes to 7 to 10 Dolphins home games a year.
Right.
A reminder that Greg Cote is very careful about getting his facts straight when he talks into a microphone.
Oh, I'm guessing.
You're lying is what you're doing.
I-
That's not guessing. You're making it look. There was no chance we were going to get a real answer to that question that wasn't inflated. There was 0% chance.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth.
I want the whole truth and nothing but the
I
truth.
will tell you the truth. When
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Lest you think that Greg Cote doesn't care deeply about sports, he just spent the time before we turned on these microphones telling me in very strong terms, because he's been aggressive today, there are 6 teams that can win the Super Bowl and only 6.
Yep.
And he is insistent that the Dolphins are one of them. He will not backtrack from that position. Stugotz and I were arguing during the break about whether or not anyone has said this season that the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFL. Stugotz looked up some stats of Dallas playing San Francisco and Buffalo and losing by a combined score of 72-10.
73-20, I believe. That's a fine. And what I said was, listen, after they beat Philadelphia and they were coming to play Miami because they never beat the Eagles.
there very likely will be Baltimore or San Francisco.
Wait, hold on, Greg. We got to do a top 5 list with an OLI.
Okay.
So start with your
But
OLI.
he top 6.
But when we were doing it, the thing is, when I was asking him, we turned on the microphones and he was discombobulated because he said there were only 6 and then named 4.
He also just spoiled 1 and 2. So.
I didn't hear it.
I may change my mind.
That's all that matters.
This
No,
feels
I
like a
hear
bunch
it.
of commoners telling Leonardo da Vinci how to paint. This is absurd.
Thank you, Billy.
All right.
Yeah, what a great analogy.
So name the other 4.
Well, let's just do it correctly then. OLI then. The 6 teams that can win the Super Bowl, according to Greg Cote, outside looking in. I don't know if this should be outside looking in on the 6 or whether this should
No,
be
he said
number
6. This should be 7.
All right. Thank you.
Top 6
But there's a tie at 1, so things are confusing.
Okay, yes, there
All right,
are.
am I going
which
7
is,
or
I,
6?
which is I know is a favorite of yours. I know that that's where you want us to live.
Confused?
Now, well, look at him. Now he's writing it down. And as I told you, when
This
we,
is what you guys ask for.
And he says, am I
it's
going 7 or
not
6?
It's not what I
Right.
asked for.
I did ask for it.
Thank you,
But
Jess.
what I asked him is before we started the segment,
I didn't ask for any of this.
I didn't ask for any of this.
I did.
That is correct. That's
And
what
I did.
happened.
Yeah.
But okay, but Smitty, you and Greg Cote, we should not live perpetually in the service of your judgments. At least in part, because if
about that,
he's
Jim.
if
think
he's
we
your
should.
if he's your ally, Jess,
And you know it.
Zagak.
Greg's right.
Thank you.
Hee-haw 3.
Back row.
Hey,
Back row Smetty.
that kind of thing. All right, you want me to start with 7 or 6? Let's have 2 OLIs.
Oh, wow. 8.
Yeah. No, 7.
Oh.
Because it's a top 5.
You said 6.
Well, that's 1 OLI.
If you have a tie for 1, you can just have number 5.
you guys, I hate you guys so much, all of you.
Should we go back to playoff
All of
permutations in
you.
the
No,
NFC?
that-
Because I don't feel like we got to those enough yesterday.
Would you prefer syphilis or gonorrhea, Dan? Which one? Which one would you rather have?
Definitely gonorrhea.
What about all that love stuff you were talking about with Reese Davis?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was him who said.
Just remember, Greg, if there's 2 1s, there's no number 2.
Trust me, you don't
Correct.
want the clap.
All right.
No, I want 1 through 5 with 2 OLIs.
Okay.
Can we do that?
So now 5 teams. Okay.
No.
That would be 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 5 teams have a chance.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, I
I
thought 6
thought it
teams
was
had a
6
chance.
teams
Yeah.
had a chance.
No, 5 have a chance.
Right.
With 2 OLIs on the periphery.
You said before the segment started,
I winnowed.
The rare top 7.
I winnowed.
It's
What?
not a top
He
7.
winnowed, Dan.
Opinions change.
What does winnowed mean?
What
Winnowed.
Winnowed means he's like sculpting. He's
Right.
sculpting his list, but this is the problem with it. He said before the segment that he had 6 teams, and then I asked him, what were they? And he can only come up with 4. And now he can only come up with 5. He doesn't have 6 teams.
I've researched it since then.
It seems like he has 7. I mean,
I do. I have. How many times can I make this clear? I have a top 5 and a 2-team OLI.
got it.
That's it.
But you said before the segment that there were 6 teams that
He
could win the
winnowed.
Super
Times
Bowl.
Semantics,
change.
Dan.
Things change.
Winnowed.
Right. I
So,
winnowed.
so in the last 90 seconds, one of the teams fell out of the playoffs and
Correct.
had their season ended.
I'll also, if you don't get to it soon, he may winnow again, Dan. So
Damn
we might
right
as well
I
get
could.
to it. Yeah.
You ready? We got that big band sound, the big brassy sound.
OLI.
OLI. Detroit and Kansas City.
Wow.
You didn't have the sound, and you're supposed to do it in a cadence that allows us one after the other.
Number 5. Dallas. Number 4. Buffalo. Number 3. Miami has the Dolphins. Number 2. San Francisco.
Obvious list ever.
And number 1. Baltimore.
Eagles have no shot.
No, they just missed. There's a lot of good teams.
So the
that
Dolphins have a shot, but not the Eagles.
Yeah,
But
a lot
Buffalo's number 4, even though they might not even make it in.
correct, because if they do make it in,
Dangerous.
watch out.
Yeah.
You know.
And what is the distinction or difference that you're making between Detroit and Miami?
I think Detroit has an overrated defense. I think Miami's got a better defense. And again, I grant you, I'm coming off a 56-point game, blah, blah, blah.
And
they have
injuries.
And they have injuries.
I don't know why you'd believe in the Dolphins any more than Detroit. Those seem about the same.
You think Goff's as good as Tua? I don't.
I think their offensive coordinator is about to make Belichick money, $15 million a year because of what they've made of that
You think
offense
they have
around
you
Goff.
think they have a Tyreek Hill? I don't.
I mean, they kind of do.
Yeah?
They kind of do, yes.
Okay. Do you think they have? Do you think they have a running back who scored 21 touchdowns?
They've got
Probably
a good,
not.
They've got a good running back. Like, okay.
Mostert didn't play last game.
I understand that.
Right.
No, Detroit's good, but you know you gotta earn. You gotta be there.
How about the Browns?
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it does.
What does that mean as analysis?
Okay,
You got to
first-
earn. You got to be there. Like you petered out
all
there.
right,
You
listen to
look,
me.
you petered. I was listening.
All right,
to
look
you.
here.
Saying that my
And you
entire
said
life.
you
Gotta want to earn.
You got to earn.
Gotta wanna learn,
You
gotta wanna earn.
He's right.
I've been saying that. Hey, you gotta want to learn. Gotta want to earn. Listen, Detroit made my OLA. I'm not OLI. I'm not disrespecting Detroit. I am disrespecting Cleveland because they don't have a quarterback who's capable of winning a lot in the playoffs.
He won a Super Bowl.
Flacco. Listen.
What do you really got checkmated. Do you realize it's like watching?
No. In fairness, that's everyone's response when you're like, Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl winner. You're like, oh,
Flacco was a passenger
Nobody said
on
he
that
can't
Super
win
Bowl
in the
train.
playoffs. Okay?
It's a great dismissal.
I honestly
Dan.
agree with my dad there. I mean,
Thank
come on.
you.
How long can we do this
Flacco.
for? It's Flacco.
It's Flacco.
He won in the playoffs. You can't say that the guy who won the Super Bowl can't win in the playoffs.
He's Trent Dilfer. His team won in the playoffs. Okay, he's Joe.
10 years ago.
He continues to be Joe Flacco. I'm just saying. But, you know, they were just outside. They'd have been 8.
Gotta
That'd have
wanna
been
earn.
my- Exactly.
OLI.
Not Philadelphia, huh?
OLI. Or R. Rowley. R-O-L-I. Rowley, real outside looking in.
O-O-L-I.
oh, OLI.
Right.
Outside
Who else
looking
is
in.
on my
Yeah.
Rowley?
Who's on the roller?
Kansas City, Cleveland. Jacksonville might be on my Rowley.
Maybe. Give it some time.
The Rams, they're coming on.
Uh-huh.
Rams would be on my Oli.
Yeah.
Rowley the Oli.
Oh,
Correct.
right. But you have the Chiefs with a chance to win the Super Bowl?
I have them as my 6th team, so, you know, take that for what it's worth. I don't. To me, Kansas City and Philadelphia have been the 2 big disappointments this year. Keeping in mind, Philly was once 10-1, and now they're taking a crap, public crap.
Greg, I think they're 11-3, aren't they?
No, they've lost
11-5. Excuse me.
11-5.
Yes.
So
but they went to the Super Bowl a year ago.
So they're 1-4. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And Hurts has had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
But their defense has not been really good. So I just don't give them a big chance.
So the Dolphins have a better chance than the team that went to the Super Bowl a year ago.
Yeah, 100%.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
I like what Greg did there, though, because it does sort of feel like the college football playoff a little bit. The reason you have the Dolphins at 3, all right, because they lost to the number 1. So it's okay. They lost to the best team in the Ravens. So why are we going to lose faith?
Quality loss.
Quality
Good loss.
losses.
It was.
Everyone loves a quality loss.
And other than losing to Tennessee at home, which was a complete aberration, their other losses have been quality losses.
And they were coming off a quality win before that. So they got the
Correct.
quality win over the Cowboys and then the quality loss to back it up. I mean, nothing better than that
The
combo.
Dolphins could also have an easy path to the AFC Championship game. Then you only need to win one game.
But
to
that's
get
why
to the Super
Greg.
Bowl.
That's why Greg is saying this week's game is so important.
Yeah.
Perhaps the
One
most
of the
important
most
game
important
in Dolphin
ever.
history. Yes. Because if they don't win this game, they're not going on the road, and they're not getting to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Right.
And-
That's
and-
your thought.
Yeah, and that's the way I judge this team. I think the season has been that good, and I think Tua and Tyreek have been magical. And I think if you don't reach the AFC Championship game, it's a disappointment. If they win one playoff game and then lose, I don't see that that's all that they could have been. You know?
What do you mean?
I mean, they have to get to the AFC Championship
For this
game
to be a good season, they
be
have to
judged.
get to the AFC
Yes,
Championship
I think
game.
so.
All right.
For me.
For me, if they win a playoff game, we're taking a step in the right direction.
It's progress.
Like I'm
for sure.
with you. One playoff win and then
Such
a
a
loss.
loser mentality,
I'm just
Chris.
saying we're trying to.
That's a
we're-
huge disappointment
No, we're
for a
trying to move
season.
this way. We haven't won a playoff game barely in my lifetime. Okay,
Right.
if we win a playoff game, that'll be something.
Right.
If
No,
not
you're
now,
right.
when?
That's the thing.
We should play that game in the next segment.
Oh, I'd like to play that game. This should be the Dolphins' year, though, right? I mean, this is the best chance they've had at winning a Super Bowl in 25
Yes,
years.
Correct. Yeah, longer.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Listen, I try not to be overly cynical because I think cynicism is corrosive. But in this case, if you're a football player who is evidently hell-bent on becoming a big star beyond football, one of the best pathways to that is to have Taylor Swift as your girlfriend.
Okay, that's a very obvious thing to say, but this was all orchestrated before that was a possibility.
Okay,
But without that happening, this wouldn't be where he was at.
Well, I think the 7 commercials and the Moon Show were before Taylor Swift. Like he was
Had a 6-episode run, that Moon Show.
Not
was
exactly
2020.
A big
You
success.
can't count. There were so many shows in 2020 that didn't last.
This could also just be a guy who, compared to Lamar Jackson, gets a quarter of his contract. Kelsey's contract is for $57 million. Lamar Jackson's getting $200 million. You can make the all guaranteed. Lamar Jackson doesn't need, not that Kelsey needs it, but comparatively, he's trying to just he could just be trying to maximize money. This could just be all about money.
He wants to be famous. That's fine.
How would he convince Taylor Swift to like him back in this like cynical worldview? I'm just curious.
What's in it for Taylor to like do this for Travis?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Bamboozle? He put like a love spell on her.
Look, prior to and I
you seen
hadn't
his
read
eyes?
that article, prior to hearing how hell-bent he is to be a big star, I had no cynicism about
Well,
that
what's wrong with
relationship.
that, though? Just explain. As if you wouldn't want that. As if you wouldn't do the same thing. As if you've said you want to be president of the United States just so you can have a staff.
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
thing. That's a
Right.
thing that you've said.
Yeah.
Buy you a staff.
Would you date Taylor Swift?
No, I don't
Is
mean
what
a
Dan's asking,
staff. I
Greg.
mean like people, like
Oh.
PAs.
Ask that again, Billy.
Didn't even hear you. Do you
Dan's
realize? No,
asking.
I heard what you said. I'd prefer he not answer that. Thank you. I was grateful that he didn't answer it. I was hoping it would escape without being answered.
I doubled
but
down.
yes, Stugotz always there for me in ways that hurt and aren't useful in any way.
Love you too.
I want a Gandalf staff. I'll become president to get one of those.
There you go.
Why are you judging him for wanting to be famous? What's wrong with wanting to be famous, especially if that's the thing that makes you popular these days with young people and makes you have a cultural relevance? You have Elon Musk and Zuckerberg trying desperately to buy popularity and fame.
Right. I have nothing against Travis Kelce. I'm not claiming that his relationship with Taylor Swift is designed to make him more famous.
It makes you wonder, though.
It makes you wonder. Yeah. It makes me wonder. Doesn't mean it has to make you wonder. It does make me wonder.
It's important that you think about these things at your age. The love life, like sticking our nose in the love life of Travis Kelce.
But people are asking that question, Dan. Is this real love? Is this contrived?
Yes,
Is it real?
Yes, that's fine. Right. They've been asking it for many weeks. I'm just sending you to an article that is pre the thought of, the best way to get famous, make it a giant pop star that you're dating. Yes.
But Greg's a journalist. Skepticism's a tenet of journalism, is it not?
It is. That's a fair comment,
well,
Billy.
I wanted to talk about something. Thank you, Billy, because
there's
Greg...
a difference between skepticism and cynicism.
What is the difference, Greg? Just like genuinely asking.
I think
to you.
For me, skepticism is
your political party
is a healthy questioning of something. Cynicism is sort of the preconceived belief that something is wrong. That cynicism is just an exaggerated form of skepticism for me.
Skepticism has a K.
That too.
Yeah.
That's
well, so does cynicism. I'm just kidding. Someone's gonna take that serious. Whatever.
Go ahead and go to the penalty box.
Oh wow, back row Smitty.
I gotta finish the crossword anyways.
The thing that I wanted to discuss with Greg Cote, as he wants to be a healthy skeptic and cynic.
Well, healthy.
In the name of journalism, is he is desperately obsessed with whatever it is he needs to write that will get clicks, and they are measuring the clicks. And so when he writes about the Panthers and it does not get clicks, and he writes about the Orange Bowl and it does get clicks, that doesn't seem like journalism to me. That doesn't seem like healthy journalistic tenets. That seems like the death of writing and journalism as I know it.
And when you say that I'm desperate for clicks, you could not be more wrong. My company is desperate for clicks. My boss is desperate for clicks. I resist that notion. But it comes up when I'm chided for not covering more Marlins games than I do. Okay, because the reality is this. If I write about the Marlins or the Panthers, it does very low traffic. If I write about the Dolphins or the Heat or Hurricanes football or lately Inter Miami because of Messi, it does very good traffic. So the temptation is to write about nothing but the top draw teams. However, I just wrote an obituary column in farewell to Jim Martz, one of my mentors at the Herald, who hired me at the Herald. I knew it was not going to do much readership. It's been very low on clicks, I'm sad to say, but I knew that, and I wrote it anyway because I wanted to and because I thought Jim Martz deserved a column at the paper he worked for 20 years. So to an extent, I adhere to clicks. I want clicks, don't get that wrong, but I will write about stuff that I know is going to do low traffic because I should. Okay, I cover the Panthers home opener because I should. I cover the Marlins home opener because I should. Do I cover a lot of their games? No, but I try to work a balance.
A lot of LeBatard Show articles for someone who doesn't care about clicks.
That's exactly right.
The biggest story of your life is betraying me on my engagement.
That's not, but again,
It got the most clicks.
Did it?
Okay, no, it did not.
It did. What?
No, it did not. I don't believe it did. I'd have to check the click counter.
Definitely.
He's got to research.
Right?
Let's check.
No. Okay, let's be perfectly honest. Yes, I'm going to write about stuff that I know is going to get a lot of clicks, but not to a fault, not to the elimination.
You betrayed me on my engagement.
That's true. Yeah, it did get a lot of clicks. What's wrong with that? I told the truth. Maybe I shouldn't have written it. I wasn't lying.
Okay, listeners, one of the things that we're always flabbergasted by, floored by, is when we ask you to do something, the amount of support that rushes in to help us do it. Greg Cote has been sad today and during the break because the person who hired him at the Miami Herald has passed away suddenly, Jim Martz, a local sports writing legend. It was a surprise. He was a very healthy man, even though he was later in life. And Greg Cote insisted, fighting his bosses, fighting the man, to write a column that remembered Jim Martz and it's got barely 1,000 views. So I need you to fix that at MiamiHerald.com. I need you to read about somebody who was meaningful to Greg Cote and support his fight to write for things that matter as AI replaces everybody and journalism dies a little bit more by the day. Help Greg Cote bring back to life something that Jim Martz cared about deeply when he hired Greg Cote at the Miami Herald. Is that sufficient, Greg? Are you feeling better about your day-to-day? You've taken a bit of a beating. You are upset at your son, at me, and everyone around the show except for Billy, who always agrees with you suspiciously.
Thank you, Billy.
Yep.
No problem, Dad.
For the record, I did not ask you to beg for clicks for my Martz column.
No, you were just sad.
But you started smiling as soon as he did it.
Yeah, but you were sad.
You
are obviously sad, and this is a person who mattered to you. And grief is very difficult for a number of different reasons with people that you care about, and you're hurting today.
Wouldn't you be sad though? He poured his heart and soul, his feelings into that column, and no one's reading it.
Well, it's going to get fixed right now.
All right.
And it's not begging. It's just telling the listeners, if you want to learn more about Greg Cote's relationship with a mentor and somebody who helped usher him, bring him into journalism, you could do so at MiamiHerald.com.
I just heard in the background paywall.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
That is part of the problem, and that's above my pay grade. I have nothing to do with that. So,
Why doesn't the fans send a picture of their receipt for a subscription to the Herald to Dan, and Dan can Venmo them and pay them back for it?
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
That's a good idea.
A truly terrible
Does the
idea.
Herald
by
have
you.
gift articles, Greg?
Do you
Really
know
good
how many
idea.
receipts Dan would get?
About as many as I'm getting now.
a really good idea.
Sorry.
About the same number as I'm getting now for Vegas and other things. I was told today by a muttering colleague, 30 people? We need to send 30 people to Vegas.
Too many. Yeah.
I'm like, we do? All right.
I think 26 is enough.
30 people to Vegas.
Why?
I don't have any idea. I mean, I would actively avoid that thing as if it were an allergy.
Do we have a contingency plan in place in case the Dolphins are in the Super Bowl and they are going to be in Vegas that week, the same week as us?
I can tell you my plan. I'm going to the game. There it is.
Our plan is 60 people if that happens.
I'll be there if the Dolphins are in it. I will be there.
I've seen plans that you're there with our crew.
Are you aware?
I'm not aware. No, I haven't been told.
I've told you that.
That kind of thing. I'm the last one to
Okay,
know.
excellent work, Greg Cote. And really, why wouldn't you pay all the expenses to bring that kind of improv talent across the
Exactly.
country
Thank you.
so he could use his sayings and touch the people?
Thank you very much. Touching the people got me in trouble back in the 70s. But seriously.
No.
What?
I should have said the 80s. I was too young in the 70s.
Yeah, that's the correction.
That
yes,
was the
that's
problem.
correction.
That's why that one missed. Yeah, that was
Therapy
it.
couch.
I should
Get
have said
therapy
The issue's
couch.
not the decade.
Out
Greg.
of here.
Okay.
Out of here. Thank you, Stugotz. We covered that.
Therapy couch.
Just wanted to hammer home the
Just
point.
kidding. You can't make a joke anymore.
Jail.
Well, we don't have, okay, jail. Go ahead and turn, please. Yes, go to the jail.
we do that?
Go, yes, go to the penalty box and video, get it ready. Get the jail ready right now. It's been upgraded. We were going to send, we were going to get him some counseling. We were going to try to be forgiving of someone who is slipping into delirium and cannot keep up with the times and thinks it's a good time to make a joke about touching people 50
If only he
years
would
ago.
have said the 80s.
Does he get a call? Does he get one call from prison?
Okay, if we've got a working microphone,
Call his mentor,
in
Don Draper.
His
his
mentor
mentor
just
just
died.
passed
Come
away.
on,
You go to
Jess.
jail too. You get out of here too. Jesus Christ!
I was making a Mad Men joke.
Dad, I know, but we just were talking
I
about
was
his
in the penalty
mentor is dying.
Fred
They're
Mertz
dead.
just
Rest in
passed.
peace. I didn't know.
No, get out of here.
John Hamm's still alive.
Prison!
I'd like to rest in peace.
Really?
With
She was
what-
doing the crossword.
With what you guys do to me on these days, it's too much to all of you. It can't be 70 rodeo clowns. I need a tether to something sane around here.
I got you, Dano.
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, I got you, Dan.
God damn.
I'm having fun today.
Yeah, same here. We're here for you, Dana.
Get me the sound, please, of before as you construct that jail hastily for Meadowlark Media on New Year's Eve, Stugotz. I believe the best televised experience is Anderson Cooper as you've never seen him. Now, I thought this had something to do for years with them drinking, Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper drinking on New Year's Eve, but the last couple of years, they don't allow them to drink as part of what it is that CNN does on New Year's Eve.
I agree with you. It's an entertaining show, highly entertaining show. 2 years ago, I believe it was 2 years ago, they got so hammered and CNN got so nervous about what was going to happen that they asked both of them to stop drinking on air if you want to do the New Year's show. So they haven't done it in 2 years.
No, and then last year, everyone kind of complained. Like every guest they had on was like, oh, why aren't you guys drinking? So this year, they let him drink again. So they were back to having fun, a shot every hour. And this was at 11:15. So this is 3 shots in already for Anderson Cooper. And he, got a little giggly.
Just so that people understand, they're going out to John Mayer in Japan, and he's at a cat bar. They're not.
Because of course.
Yes, right. For obvious reasons.
He likes to make it weird.
It's just it's like I'm not sure if they serve liquor over there in cat bars, so they might not be bars actually, but it's sort of a cat cafe situation. And Anderson Cooper simply cannot keep it together. And again, you don't see him in other news settings. You just don't see this side of him.
We are joined by John Mayer at a cat cafe in Tokyo. John, this doesn't look sanitary, John. John.
You know what? I believe it passes all health codes. I think it's just fine. Yes, we are at a cat bar. It's called Cats in the Box in Tokyo, celebrating New Year's. We're already halfway through the first day of 2024.
John.
I'm here with
John,
Shin and 5 other proprietors of the bar.
Talk to me about this bar. You're in the bar, and there are cats everywhere. Yes. They are licking each other.
There are cats.
Yes.
Yes, this is This is a place you can come, enjoy a drink or two, and talk to cats. It's a cat bar. I don't know how much more clear I can be about the objective of this place.
John, you are in Tokyo,
I can't see
Japan.
Anderson, but I know exactly what he looks like.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. He's gone. He's off with the fairies here. The shot of the cat's ass in your face is making him delirious. Yes, he is now. You have, John. Do you have catnip there or cat food that you're giving the cat?
Well, Andy, I got to be honest with you. I thought these were solid treats. This seems to be a paste of some kind that you feed the cats directly from a tube.
Well,
so
now,
it turns out this is a gelatinous cat paste.
John, I have to ask because do you know the name of that cat? Is there a possibility that we could play one of my favorite games?
Yes.
Called Name That Pussy.
All right. Excellent dismount there. Stugotz, you were...
it was on CNN.
What's your point?
Well, if it's good for CNN, we can play it.
Stoved up.
Look at Jessica laughing in jail.
No one laughs in prison.
Nobody's ever had more fun in jail. All right, so wait. So does Greg Cote indeed have a call? Does he have a working microphone from jail?
I do, yes.
And what are we going to do with that? Why do you have a working microphone? Were you making a call were you making one phone call to get out of jail?
I already talked to my lawyer, but she refused to take the call. So we're stuck in here for a while.
Classic wife joke.
It is a nice cell. It really is. Don't you think it's a nice cell?
It'd be nicer if you had socks on.
It's true. I don't have socks.
No!
Who wears socks with deck shoes? Come on.
Can't smell great.
Who wears deck shoes in jail?
Jessica, can you tell me how horrified you are by those feet?
Oh, my God.
Jessica,
They're normal feet. Don't worry about it. It's ridiculous. How come she just escaped from jail and I'm still stuck in here? What's going on? Unbelievable. It's crazy. But by the way, am I still on the air? Did you hear about ESPN had to apologize for, briefly showing a woman exposing her breasts on Bourbon Street after the bowl game? An official apology. What century is this? How much of a puritanical society are we when a network has to apologize for a little accident? Who's being harmed by this? What kids are up at that hour going, oh, my God, my life is ruined because I've seen what I just saw? You know what that's like? For a network having to apologize? That's like me not returning a shopping cart. I leave the shopping cart right in the parking lot next to a car, and people give me such a dirty look. It's a misdemeanor. It's less than a misdemeanor. There are so many things to worry about in the world. You're going to get on me for not returning a shopping cart? You're going to get on a network for accidentally showing a woman exposing her? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. It's less than a misdemeanor. If you're going to be mad at me, if you're going to put me in jail, make it be for a felony, please. That kind of thing. Over and out. I'm breaking out of this jail. I swear to you. Where's the exit?
Stugotz, why were you so excited to show me what was just on your phone? A picture, I believe, of a very bald David Tepper. What was happening there that you just flashed that at me?
I made the joke yesterday on the air, Tepper tantrum. And I feel like it deserved a better fate. You laughed at it, but no one else really did. Mike gave it a Hakeem Nicks laugh eventually, minutes later. And then I see it on Twitter just now, and CNBC used the same exact line as I did yesterday. How about that?
Thieves, comedy thieves. Tepper tantrum is a good joke. I don't think our show can do better than the last 5 minutes. And that's not what I was expecting once Greg Cote made the awkward claim that 50 years ago he touched people inappropriately. I didn't think that we
joke.
Could.
Isn't that obviously it's a joke?
All right, well put.
Yeah, no.
Chris Berman made an appearance in the middle of that.
That's a good point.
But at the end of that segment, okay, Greg Cote was clearly and obviously on a super rare superhero heater. He had a strong opinion about Bourbon Street and boobs, and he gave you everything that he had and was so proud of himself that this is the end of the gymnastics routine where someone knows that they're going to get a 10 from the Olympic judges after 4 years of preparing for this moment. And look at what Greg Cote hit you with when he was at maximum confidence swagger.
Over and out.
So good, so good.
That's right. CB radio talk among truckers.
Over and out. 1040, Big Bear.
What is that?
Over and out.
What is that?
Over and out.
What year was that used a lot?
I know, but when people when you are quoting from like Smokey and the Bandit and the use of 1980 CB radio.
Yeah, I used to be big. And out. I was big into CBs, and that's what we said. Nobody said goodbye. It's over and out.
You know what else was over and out?
What's that?
That titty on ESPN.
I
think that was a wardrobe malfunction. I don't think it didn't seem like she meant to flash. What shocked me was all these accounts reposting it without her consent, without blurring it on social media. It was probably an accident.
Well, you never know. Over and out. Either way, I stand by what I said. Whatever the hell it was I said.
Your beef was more with ESPN feeling the need to apologize.
Yeah, you don't need to apologize.
Now that I reminded you.
Misdemeanor,
We got it. We already got
it.
You're not going to do better than you already did it.
Thank you.
We don't need to recover the ground.
Nor would I.
Over and out was first used during the French Revolution in 1837.
Over and out. It was.
When people needed to communicate by primitive means.
Over and out.
That is correct. That is correct. Anything else that comes past this microphone, out was my punctuation. I need to explain to you that those are the ends of my thoughts.
Over and out.
The other saying that I still don't have a good explanation for that needs to become a T-shirt. Billy, do you have any theories here? Greg Cote's whole thing of you got to learn, you got to earn. I don't know what all that is, what it means. I don't know the origins of it. He's trying to make it popular again. Can someone
get it right, will you?
What is it? Please.
I didn't say that on air.
It's gotta want to learn, gotta want to earn.
He keeps saying it sounds like gotta, but it's not gotta.
No.
It's guy don't wanna. Right?
Yeah.
Guy don't wanna learn.
Yeah, guy don't want to learn. Gotta want to earn.
I heard gotta. So I was
Gotta
all
wanna
sorts
learn,
of confused.
Gotta want to earn.
This sounds like something one of your drunk friends just said at one point.
It's correct. That is exactly right.
Well, there's the origin.
There it is. All right. I didn't know that. Fine.
Yes.
I'm glad we got an answer to that. Excellent.
The great Larry Grimm. Thank you, Larry.
Speaking of...
Thank you,
Reaper.
Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Hey,
Speaking...
what are you thanking me?
Over and out.
Larry Legend.
What's Grimmy up to now, Greg?
Speaking of drunk friends, Jessica conquered bar trivia. And there are few better feelings than crushing a bar at
You can stop there.
nonsense information.
It was the best night of my break by far. And it was
Over and
not
out.
only just bar trivia, it was in my hometown. I felt like the main character in a story coming back from the big city, wind whipping my hair, and I walk into the bar on a cold night and all the Christmas lights are on and we sit at the table and they say, "Do you want to do bar trivia?" And I said, "Yes, I do. Why not?" I had to convince my dad and Lehman to play with me, and we competed against 14 different teams. Wow. And when final trivia came along, we knew we were in third place, and we wagered all of our points on what's the largest Scandinavian country, and we knew it was Sweden.
Wow.
And we ended up tied for first place, and the final question to tiebreak to win the $30 gift card
This
to
is
the
overtime?
bar, this is overtime.
Wow.
Was a sports question. And it was a sports question about what year did the Denver Nuggets change their name from the Rockets. And I had absolutely no idea. But luckily,
This sounds like a Lehman.
because our team spanned generations, my dad and Lehman pinned it down to the decade. They said this was in the 70s. But guess what? The team that was tied with us, the guy at their table said, "I lived in Denver and in Houston. I know this one."
no.
So we were panicking. But they guessed wrong, and we won $30 to the bar.
Wow.
Nice.
Congratulations.
What year was it?
I think it was 1974, and we guessed within like 4 years, and they were like 10 years off. So
Now, when you do trivia at a bar, there are two types of people. There's, I'm going to get a lot of these questions right, and I'm going to try to answer a lot. And there's a person that just sits back and waits for their time to shine. I don't know a lot of answers, but I'm going to know the important one late in this game. That's me. You could have guessed that I'm not a big, but I'll get that one answer that no one else knows.
In a big spot.
Oh,
yeah.
in a big spot.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that.
the key is to have a diversity amongst your team and at least a couple aspects. Like
A couple
have-
idiots.
Well,
You do.
I meant more so like generationally, because one of the questions was about, like, Greg, you would have nailed this one. It was about like the New Year's Eve shows and who's hosted them and what locations and stuff like that. And Lehman and I were like, what? All we know is Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper talking about John Mayer and his pussy bar. But my dad knew, Dick Clark, they had a location in
Dick
LA.
Clark. That's right.
I would have never gotten that.
No, I'd have gotten that.
Do you think Ryan Seacrest is a little over it being called Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve?
Put it on the poll,
At what
please.
point does it become Ryan Seacrest's
Never.
New Year's Eve?
Put it on
Never.
the poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Is Ryan Seacrest tired of it being Dick Clark's rockin' New Year's Eve?
It's like when college sports teams endow a position and then they have to announce like Marcus Freeman, the Dick Corbett Notre Dame head football coach every time because that guy paid for it.
But it's kind of like the Super Bowl. At what point does the Lombardi Trophy become the Belichick Trophy? Huh? Something to think about.
That's
Yeah.
a good point.
I feel like it's nothing like that.
No,
Also,
that's an excellent analogy.
I would like to also posit this. I won the neighborhood turkey trot last month, which I don't even think I ever announced that
5
on air.
miles?
it was,
Killer month.
Big year for you, yeah.
It was a
Wow.
5K, so
Right.
it was 3.1 miles. I won in my age group. I've now won trivia. I feel like, I don't know what the third thing in the Suburban Triple Crown is, but I feel like I'm about to hit the Triple
I'll
Crown.
tell you, you're not going to be able to because Greg Cote has already nominated himself commissioner of the holiday season. If that were still available to you, you could have the holy trinity of victories. But unfortunately, Greg Cote, I don't know what
Might be
this...
available in a few years.
I don't know. Whoa.
What?
Retiring?
Yeah, like the president's president for 4 years. What are you thinking?
The holiday season needs a commissioner. I think we all know that.
I don't know if it needs one.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Does the holiday season need a commissioner?
The holiday season, a lot of people think of the holiday season beginning with Halloween, going through Thanksgiving, and then through, Christmas and Hanukkah. I'm going to say this. Every holiday, I'm going to make a ruling for Easter some years, for example. But the main ruling I'm going to start with is this, because it's gift-giving season, right? Abolish gift cards and gift bags. Okay? That's lazy. Work it. Put a little effort into your gift giving. Work it. Okay? I don't want a gift card. If you're giving me a gift card, you might as well just open your wallet and pull out $100 in cash and hand it to me. And I'll hand you $100 in cash in return instead of a gift card. It's pointless. It's ridiculous. And the gift bag, half of the art of gift giving, and this is one thing, perhaps the only thing, Christopher will give me credit for. I'm an expert gift wrapper.
Work it.
I know how to use the tape.
Work it.
I know how to put a fine crease on the gift wrapping.
Work it.
It takes 20 minutes to open one of my gifts.
Work it.
Because people can't get through the wrapping.
Work it.
People need like a knife or scissors to get through the wrapping because it's so tightly wrapped. It's a work of art. No gift bags, no gift cards. The commissioner has spoken. Holiday season,
Over and
commissioner. That's right, over and out.
You said we need a commissioner. You appointed yourself?
I did.
Dismounted with the wrong thing.
Gotta want to learn, gotta want to earn.
Over and out.